Have you ever had a moment when you sat alone, staring at your phone, waiting for a call that never came? A job you hoped for, a promotion you prayed for, an opportunity you thought was finally yours, yet silence met you instead. My friend, there are seasons when life feels so heavy that even taking one more step seems impossible. But I want you to hear this with all your heart. You are not stuck. You are not forgotten. And you are not at the end. God is setting the stage for a miracle that will lift your job struggles in a way you never expected. Sometimes God closes a door because He's preparing a better one. Sometimes He removes a plan you thought was secure because He wants you to trust the plan that is truly divine. Even now, right where you are, confused, tired, unsure, He is working behind the scenes, arranging people, positioning favor, and opening paths you cannot yet see. Your job struggle is not a sign of God's absence. It is often the birthplace of your next breakthrough. I remember a man who came to me after losing his job. His eyes were filled with fear. His hands shook when he said, "I have 3 children, a wife, and I feel like I've failed them." Maybe you know that feeling. Maybe you've carried that same weight. He told me he had prayed, but nothing changed. He knocked on doors, but every door stayed shut. He sent applications, but no reply came back. He felt like God was silent. But what he didn't know was that God wasn't silent. God was preparing him. He thought he was being pushed down, but God was actually pulling him forward. Just 3 weeks later, a company called him for a position he never even applied for. A job higher, better, and more stable than anything he had lost. When he walked into that new office, he said he felt the presence of God filling the room, whispering, "See, I was with you the whole time. Your story may feel broken, scattered, paused, but God does His best work in places that seem hopeless. When your hands are empty, His hands are ready. When your strength is gone, His strength steps in. When it seems like nothing is moving, heaven is moving everything. Don't lose hope because you're in a waiting season. Don't give up because you can't see the blessing yet. The seed grows underground long before it rises above the soil. Hidden progress is still progress. Delayed doors are still doors, and God's timing is still perfect. Some of you have cried silent tears at night while scrolling through job listings. Some of you wake up with a knot in your stomach, wondering how long this storm will last. Some of you smile during the day, but collapse inside your heart when no one is watching. Listen to me. God sees you. He knows your struggle, and He has not overlooked your pain. There is a moment coming, sooner than you think, when what was held back will be released, when what was broken will be restored, when what felt impossible will suddenly become undeniable. God doesn't need permission from the economy. He doesn't need approval from any company. He doesn't need to wait for the right market conditions. He is God, and when He says open, no human hand can shut it. The enemy wants you to believe that your value is tied to your job, that your identity is tied to your position, that your worth is tied to your paycheck, but your value comes from God alone. You are chosen, you are called, you are loved. and you are destined for something greater than what you have lost. Don't measure your future by your current situation. Don't measure God's promise by your present pain. What you are facing today is not the end. It is the turning point. It is the moment before the miracle. The Israelites stood trapped between the Red Sea and the Egyptian army. It looked like a dead end. But God said, "Move forward." And when they did, the waters parted. My friend, sometimes God waits for you to take one small step so He can unleash a miracle that only heaven can provide. God did not bring you this far to leave you stranded on the shores of fear. You may not see a way, but God has a way. You may not have connections, but God can connect you to the right people. You may not see opportunity, but God can create opportunity out of thin air. He is the God who breathes life into dry places, who lifts the humble, who restores the lost, who strengthens the weary, who provides in the desert, and who brings victory out of struggle. And that includes your job struggle. There is someone listening right now who is about to step into a job they don't even know exists yet. Someone is about to receive a call that will change everything. Someone is about to walk into a position that will not only support them, but elevate them. Someone is about to experience favor that they never imagined. God is writing a chapter that will leave you speechless. So don't quit. Don't doubt. Don't surrender your faith just because the journey is difficult. God does some of His greatest work in your life when you least feel it. He strengthens your character in the struggle so you can carry the blessing when it comes. Your job loss does not define your destiny. Your delay does not define your future. Your rejection does not define your worth. What defines you is the God who formed you, who knows you, who loves you, and who has already prepared a place for you. Lift your head. Stand firm. Keep believing. Because the miracle you are waiting for is closer than you think. And when it comes, you will look back on this moment and say, if I hadn't gone through that job struggle, I wouldn't have discovered the miracle God was preparing for me. My friend, God's miracle will lift your job struggles. Hold on, trust Him. The breakthrough is on its way. There are moments in life when the weight of job struggles feels like it is pressing the soul from every side. When you're submitting applications that never receive replies, when interviews go well, but the call never comes, when bills grow, but opportunities don't, it's easy to believe something has gone wrong. But what many people don't see in those dark and quiet moments is that God often uses these very seasons as preparation for a breakthrough you cannot yet see. He is not delaying you to punish you. He is preparing you to position you for something greater than you imagine. There are times when the road ahead looks blocked, and you wonder why God is allowing you to walk through so much uncertainty. You pray, you wait, you try, but the doors seem to stay shut. And in that silence, frustration creeps in. You begin to question your value, your abilities, your purpose. But God does not waste struggle. He does not ignore tears. He does not overlook effort. Every moment of waiting is doing something inside you, shaping patience, building resilience, strengthening faith. and transforming you into someone who can handle the blessing that is coming. Think of a seed placed in the ground. It is pressed under dirt, hidden away from the world, surrounded by darkness, yet that very environment is what prepares it to grow. The seed doesn't stay buried. It breaks open, expands and pushes upward, because what looks like burial is actually planting. In the same way, your job struggle may feel like a burial, but God is actually planting you. You are being positioned for growth. You cannot see from the inside, but heaven sees the whole picture. Many times people pray for a better job, a higher position, or a breakthrough, but they don't realize that the character required for that next level must first be developed in the place where they feel stuck. God may be teaching you how to trust Him without seeing the outcome. He may be teaching you how to stay faithful when nothing makes sense. He may be teaching you how to rely on His strength instead of your own. These are not small lessons. They are foundations for your future. Sometimes the struggle is not about the job at all. It's about your heart. It's about your faith. It's about your willingness to believe that God's promise is bigger than your present disappointment. God may be preparing you to handle the responsibilities of a better opportunity, one that requires maturity, spiritual strength, and deeper trust. If He gave it to you too early, it might overwhelm you. If He delivered the blessing before you were ready, it might slip through your hands. Preparation often looks like struggle, but it is protection in disguise. Your job struggle might also be removing you from a place that can no longer grow you. You may feel like something is being taken away, but God might be saving you from situations you couldn't see coming. He may be pulling you out of an environment that limits you, draining you, or holding you back from your destiny. You see the surface. God sees the full span of your future. You see loss, God sees alignment. You see delay, God sees perfect timing. In every slow season, every rejection, every closed door, there is something being built inside you. You are learning how to endure. You are learning how to pray differently. You are learning how to sharpen skills, deepen wisdom, and expand your vision. You are learning how to stand on faith when circumstances shake. Strength is born in the struggle long before it is seen in the reward. You may be thinking that nothing is moving. But what if everything is moving exactly as God planned? What if the very silence that troubles you is actually the sound of God working on your behalf? What if the lack of progress you feel is actually the preparation that will make your breakthrough unstoppable when it arrives? God uses job struggles not to break you, but to build you. The delay is not denial. The waiting is not wasted. The struggle is not the end of the story. It is part of the process that leads to something better, something greater, something perfectly crafted for you by the one who knows your future better than you know your past. There are seasons when doors close so suddenly that you stand there wondering what you did wrong. You replay conversations, rethink decisions, and question whether you missed a sign somewhere along the way. It's painful when the opportunity you prepared for slips away. It's confusing when the job you thought was yours ends abruptly. It's heavy when rejection comes without explanation, but what many people don't realize is that closed doors are not rejections. They are often divine redirections towards something far greater than what you were aiming for. God sees what you cannot see, and sometimes mercy shows up as a door you cannot walk through. A closed door can feel like the world is pushing you away, but in reality, it can be God pulling you into a future that aligns with His purpose for your life. You may think you lost something important, but God may be protecting you from something harmful. You may think you were ready for the opportunity, but God knows the timing better than you do. He understands the weight that comes with the blessing, the challenges behind the scenes, and the people you would encounter. He sees the spiritual battles you cannot sense, the pressures you cannot anticipate, and the responsibilities you may not yet be prepared to hold. When He closes a door, it is not rejection, it is redirection guided by love and wisdom far beyond your own. Imagine walking down a hallway where you try one handle after another, and they refuse to open. With each locked door, frustration rises. You begin to feel stuck, forgotten, maybe even cursed. But the truth is, God is not allowing those doors to open because they lead to rooms that cannot hold your destiny. They lead to roles that would limit your growth, environments that would drain your purpose, or opportunities that would distract you from the path He designed specifically for you. Every closed door is a message that says, not here, not this. I have something better. Sometimes the door closes because the season connected to it has ended. You outgrew it without realizing it. Your spirit matured while the place you were in stayed the same, and God, in His perfect timing, moves you forward even when you feel backward. It feels uncomfortable because change always does. It feels unfair because you didn't choose it. But redirection rarely feels pleasant. It often feels like loss before it feels like purpose. Only later do you look back and realize God was guiding you with precision that human logic cannot understand. It is easy to trust God when doors are open, opportunities flow, and life falls into place. But true faith is tested when the path is blocked, when comfort is disrupted, when prayers seem unanswered. In those moments, God invites you to trust not the door, but the one who holds the keys. He invites you to believe that He is still in control, even when nothing in your life feels controlled. He invites you to walk forward, even when the next step seems uncertain. Closed doors can ignite panic in the heart. The mind says, "What now? Where do I go?" But God is never confused. He is never surprised. He is never unprepared. He is already standing in the doorway that will eventually open for you. He is already arranging the conversations, the connections, the opportunities that will lead you into the place you were meant to be. He is already shaping the future that will make sense of everything that feels confusing today. You may not understand the redirection right now, but one day you will look back and see that the door that closed was actually a blessing. You will realize that if you had forced it open, you would have walked into something that wasn't meant to hold your purpose. You will understand that what felt like rejection was actually God's way of steering you into a position designed uniquely for you. The disappointment you're feeling today is not the end. It is the turning point that leads to a better, wiser, more aligned future crafted by God's hand. In a world that constantly measures worth by titles, positions, promotions, and salaries, it becomes easy to forget where your true identity comes from. People look at your job and try to define your value. They judge your success by what you earn, how fast you rise, and what role you hold. But your identity and worth do not come from a job, a company, or a paycheck. They come from God alone, and His definition of you does not shift with circumstances, employment status, or financial pressure. You were chosen before any job existed, called before any opportunity came, and loved long before anyone knew your name. There are moments when losing a job or not getting one can feel personal, like a reflection of your talent or potential. You might begin to question if something is wrong with you. The enemy whispers lies into your thoughts, trying to convince you that you are not enough, that you are falling behind, that others are succeeding while you are stuck. But the truth is that your value hasn't changed one bit. You are still crafted with purpose, designed with intention, and held in the hands of a God who sees far beyond what you can see. Your identity was never supposed to be built on something that can be taken away. Jobs come and go, opportunities rise and fall, companies thrive and collapse, but God remains constant. If your sense of worth is tied to something unstable, your emotions will rise and fall with every change. But when your worth is tied to God, you stand firm even when the world around you shakes. You do not crumble because a job disappears. You do not lose your confidence because a door closes. You do not fall apart because the income is uncertain. You remain anchored in something eternal, something unshakable, something far greater than earthly success. There are people who achieved high positions yet felt empty inside because they built their identity on something temporary. There are others who lost jobs and felt like their world crashed because they believed their worth came from that position. But those who understand their identity in God walk through both seasons, promotion and loss, with a different strength. They know they are not defined by what happens around them, but by who stands within them. They know that no job can increase or decrease the value God has placed on their life. You may be in a season where you feel overlooked or underestimated. You may feel like your potential is unseen, your skills unused, your passion unrecognized. But God sees what others miss. God knows the gifts He placed inside you, and He knows exactly where those gifts will be used. Sometimes He hides you in a season of preparation so that He can reveal you in a season of purpose. Sometimes He allows you to walk through humble places so that you can carry honor with grace when it arrives. Sometimes He allows rejection from people so that you will learn to rely on His approval alone. When you understand that your worth comes from God, you walk differently. You don't beg for opportunities. You prepare for them. You don't chase validation. You rest in God's affirmation. You don't crumble under rejection. You rise with clarity. You don't lose peace when circumstances shift. You trust that God is guiding every detail of your life. You become unshaken by changes because your foundation is not built on the changing world. It is built on an unchanging God. This truth also gives you freedom. Freedom from comparison, because someone else's promotion does not diminish your purpose. Freedom from fear, because losing a job does not mean losing your identity. Freedom from insecurity, because you know who you are, even when others misunderstand or overlook you. Freedom from anxiety, because you trust that God's plan is bigger than any temporary setback. Your identity is not jobless, underqualified, behind, or not enough. Your identity is chosen, called, gifted, and deeply loved. Your worth was settled by God long before any human opinion came into the picture. When you walk in that truth, you face every job struggle with strength. You pursue opportunities with confidence. You wait with expectation. You move forward with faith, knowing that your life is not defined by a job description, but by the purpose God placed within you. As you walk through seasons of uncertainty, rejection, waiting, or quiet frustration, it can feel like your life is on pause while everyone else is moving forward. It can feel like your prayers are echoing back to you and your efforts are unnoticed. But every struggle you have faced, every disappointment you have endured, and every door that refused to open has been part of a larger story being written over your life. God has not abandoned you in the struggle. He has been shaping you through it, strengthening what was weak, refining what needed clarity, and preparing you for a chapter that will reveal why this season had to happen exactly the way it did. When you look back at moments that felt unbearable, you will see threads of grace woven into every detail. The times you thought you were lost were the times God was guiding you most carefully. The days you thought you were forgotten were the days God was positioning you for something better. His silence was not absence. His delay was not denial. His closed doors were not punishment. They were protection, redirection, and preparation for a blessing He has perfectly tailored for your life. There is a reason you didn't get that job. There is a reason the opportunity slipped away. There is a reason the door closed when you thought it should have opened. You may not understand it, but God sees beyond the moment. He sees the things you cannot see, the people you are meant to meet, the paths you are meant to walk, and the future you are meant to carry. He sees danger where you see desire. He sees purpose where you see loss. He sees the final picture while you only see one piece. And through all of this, your identity has remained untouched. You were never defined by your employment status. You were never reduced by your struggles. You were never less valuable because of delays. You were never forgotten because of silence. You were loved, chosen, and purposed long before any job existed. And that truth remains unshaken no matter what season you walk through. You are moving towards something greater, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. You are walking through a process that is forming resilience, courage, patience, and spiritual strength. You are becoming someone who can handle the weight of the blessing that is coming. You are being stretched so that you can grow. You are being refined so that you can shine. You are being directed so that you end up exactly where God intends for you to be. Your story is not stuck. Your future is not shrinking. Your purpose is not fading. Every struggle has been a step. Every delay has been a lesson. And every disappointment has been a setup for something better than what you prayed for. The path ahead is not empty. It is filled with promise. It is filled with opportunity. It is filled with the goodness of a God who knows how to turn struggle into strength and waiting into breakthrough.